Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. The Promised Ending. There is a beautiful narrative about the future that is popular. When AI is powerful enough and robots spread all over factories and fields, human society will usher in great material abundance. Production costs approach zero and goods are as abundant as air, even if most people no longer work. Universal Basic Income UBI can also allow everyone to live a decent life. Labor is no longer a prerequisite for survival, but a free choice. This ending may be true. But the problem is never the end. The problem is between now and that end. There is a transition period that is long, dangerous, and rarely seriously discussed. Jet lag, the real crisis. All the optimistic talk about the future of AI all imply a fatal assumption: unemployment and abundance will come simultaneously. It was as if I woke up one morning and the factory had been taken over by robots. Everything on supermarket shelves has also become free. Reality doesn't happen like this. The speed at which technology replaces labor is much faster than the speed at which technology reconstructs the entire production distribution system. A customer service position can be replaced by a large language model overnight. But let the AI-driven, fully automated supply chain reduce the cost of a t-shirt to close to zero. It requires exponential expansion of chip production capacity, large-scale mass production of robot hardware, complete reconstruction of energy infrastructure, complete automation of logistics networks. These are systems projects measured in 10-year terms. So there was a cruel time difference. The wave of unemployment arrived first. Abundance is yet to come. People lost their income, but prices did not return to zero. The Social Security system is designed for an unemployment rate of 5%, not 30%. Government tax rates have narrowed due to corporate layoffs and shrinking consumption precisely at the moment when it is most needed to expand welfare expenditures. The finances are bleeding. This is not a technical issue. This is a timing issue. 3. The death spiral of demand collapse. The most basic identity in economics: one person's expenditure is another person's income. When AI replaces white-collar and blue-collar jobs on a large scale, hundreds of millions of people will lose their salary income. Their spending power evaporated instantly. The shrinking consumption has led to a decline in corporate revenue, and companies have further laid off employees to maintain profit margins. More people lose their income. A classic demand collapse spiral begins. The deeper paradox is AI needs the market to realize its productivity. But it is destroying the market itself. Companies use AI to replace employees and cut costs in the short term, but who do they sell the goods they produce? When enough companies make this rational choice at the same time, the fallacy of composition emerges. Decisions based on individual rationality create disaster at the collective level. Henry Ford knew one thing: his workers had to be able to afford the cars he produced. Business owners in the AI era seem to be forgetting this collectively. This is not a recession. Recessions have cycles, bottoms, and recoveries. This is structural demand death. Old jobs disappear permanently. New jobs have not yet been created or are being created at a much slower rate than they are disappearing. For history will not simply repeat itself. Optimists often cite the Industrial Revolution. Textile workers lost their jobs, but their descendants became steel workers, railway workers, typists. Technology destroys old jobs while creating new ones, and humans can always adapt. But this time, there is something fundamentally different. What the Industrial Revolution replaced was human muscle. Machines were more powerful. Humans still have brains and can retreat into the realm of cognitive labor. What AI replaces is precisely human cognitive ability. It is better at writing, better at calculation analysis and programming. When muscles and brains are simultaneously surpassed by machines, where will humanity's next retreat position be? The transition period to the Industrial Revolution lasted several decades with child labor, slums, Chartism, and several revolutions. The transition of that era was not graceful. It was accomplished at the expense of generations of suffering for the lower classes. Do we have reason to believe that the transition to the AI era will be more humane? The more critical difference is speed. It took nearly a century from the invention of the steam engine to its widespread use. AI went from GPT-3 to GPT-4 in less than 2 years. The time window left for social adaptation and institutional restructuring has been compressed to an unprecedented narrowness. 5. Fragile social contract. The stability of modern society is based on an implicit contract. People pay labor in exchange for income and dignity. The state provides education and infrastructure in exchange for taxes and order. The underlying assumption of this contract is that most people can support themselves through work. When this assumption is broken by AI, the contract will be shaken. The unemployed don't just lose money. They lose social roles, daily structures, identities, and networks. Mass unemployment was never just an economic event, it was a psychosocial event. The Great Depression of the 1930s gave birth to fascism. Not only because people are poor, but also because people feel abandoned by the times, betrayed by the system, and no longer needed. When 30% of the population is in this mental state, populist politics, extreme ideological trends, and social division are almost inevitable products. Once society falls into turmoil, it will precisely delay the process of AI bringing prosperity. RD requires a stable investment environment. Infrastructure construction requires social collaboration, and distribution reform requires political consensus. Turmoil does not speed up the process to abundance, it slows it down. This is the most desperate closed-loop. Unemployment leads to turmoil. Turbulence delays the arrival of abundance, and the delay of abundance increases unemployment and instability. 6. Who is racing against time? So we saw the true face of this competition. One track is the speed at which AI replaces human labor. On the other track is the speed at which society reconstructs its distribution system, builds safety nets, and achieves material abundance. If the latter outperforms the former, the transition period will be controllable, while AI gradually improves productivity. A new distribution mechanism has been put in place. Although people have changed their living methods, they will not fall into the abyss. If the former outperforms the latter, which is currently the most likely scenario, we will face a window period. Economic output is growing because AI is efficient. But the distribution of these outputs is highly concentrated in the hands of capital owners. Large numbers of former workers were excluded from distribution. Society will see an unprecedented scene. GDP is rising, shelves are full. But tens of millions of people can't afford it. This is not material scarcity, but a distribution breakdown. It's not a lack of production, it's a loss of purchasing power. 7. Where is the way out? Acknowledging the existence of this time difference is the first step to solving the problem. The following is not a perfect solution, but a few directions to reduce the disruption of the transition period. Gradually rather than suddenly. Policymakers need to proactively regulate the pace of AI replacement of labor. It is not to prevent technological progress, but to allow institutional construction to keep up with the speed of technology. Each round of large-scale automation should be accompanied by corresponding redistribution plans and reemployment support. Build the network first. Jump down again. Front-end allocation reform. Don't wait until plenty arrives to discuss UBI, it will be too late. Progressive distribution reform needs to start now. Impose an automation tax on excess profits generated by AI. Employment guarantee and basic income pilot for transitional period. Let the technological dividends begin to penetrate downwards during the accumulation process, instead of waiting until enough is reached before distributing them. Shorten the jet lag itself. Fully accelerate those fields that can bring material abundance. Faster energy fusion. Large-scale photovoltaics manufacturing, universal robotics, logistics, fully automated supply chain. These are fertile infrastructures. The day they are in place, UBI will have a material foundation and not just a financial figure. Rebuilding a sense of meaning. Economic safety nets can only solve survival problems, not existential problems. when work is no longer the identity anchor for most people. Society needs new systems of meaning, provision, community participation, creative activities, caring relationships, lifelong learning. This is not the icing on the cake, but the cornerstone of social stability. 8. We don't have leisure time. The most disturbing reality is the race has already begun, and human society's preparation for this is almost zero. Technology companies are making every effort to accelerate the improvement of AI capabilities. This is their business instinct and cannot be faulted. However, there are almost no forces of the same magnitude promoting the reconstruction of the distribution system. Systematic planning for upgrading social safety nets and transition periods. On one side is exponential acceleration, on the other side is linear hesitation or even standing still. We are walking on a narrowing tightrope. On one side is the cliff of technological unemployment looming. On the other side is the shore of material abundance still far away. The time left for us to build bridges may only be 10 years, maybe less. This is not a question about the future. It's a question of act now or it's too late. History does not wait for the optimal solution. It will only reward those societies that are awake enough and quick enough. Thank you for watching. If you like my channel, you are welcome to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.